What up? What up? It's me, your boy Jay King, here with The Athletic. We are still potable, the greatest Celtics podcast ever. Tonight, I guess I can say I am still potable, the greatest Celtics podcast ever, because it's just me coming to you after the Celtics beat the Cleveland Cavaliers, or some semblance of the Cleveland Cavaliers, in a preseason game. It was a 138-107 win, very lopsided contest. Celtics still haven't really played anybody good in the preseason. I mean, good player. Everybody's been sitting against the Celtics. Tonight, they had almost their full roster. Jordan Walsh did not play, still dealing with an adductor issue. But other than that, they had just about everybody, and they should have beaten the Cavs by a lot, as they did. The biggest story was probably how Joe Mazzulla approached not his lineups, because he was very fluid with his lineups. Chris Boucher started at center next to Sam Hauser, Jaylen Brown, Peyton Pritchard, and Derek White. Small lineup. The Boucher at center thing might be a thing. He's been good in the preseason. Nemi didn't play until the second quarter, only played in the second quarter. Not sure exactly what happened there. Xavier Tillman started in Boucher's place in the third quarter. Boucher didn't play in the second half. Everything kind of seems up in the air right now with the center spot. I think Sam Hauser is probably going to be the starting power forward. I think Peyton Pritchard will probably start in the backcourt, but I'm not sure about those things yet. But the biggest story from tonight was Joe Mazzulla's focus on defensive rebounding. He started yanking guys early, and like really early. Sam Hauser gave up a offensive rebound little less than 4 minutes into the game. I believe it was like 8:11 left. Got yanked. He was one of the first three guys out of the game. They all came out at the same time. It wasn't clear at that point that Joe was just giving quick hooks to guys who gave up offensive rebounds. Later in the first quarter, same thing happened again. Luka Garza came in less than 2 minutes after he got subbed in, gave up a long offensive rebound to Dean Wade. It was kind of a tough luck offensive rebound. Garza went to contest the three-point shot. Instead of stopping and boxing out, he kind of ran past the contest. And when he did that, Wade got the rebound, kept the possession alive for the Cavaliers. Immediately, you can go to the tape if you want. Joe Mazzulla on the bench, points down. Xavier Tillman checks in for Luka Garza. So this is less than 6 minutes into the game. Celtics have already played three centers with Boucher, Garza, and Tillman. And part of it was because Garza got subbed out because he didn't grab a defensive rebound. Why this seems important to me are two things. Number one, defensive rebounding has a chance to be an enormous issue for the Celtics this season. They lost Jason Tatum to injury. They lost their entire front court. They're going to be playing probably much smaller. They're going to be playing, some lineups that probably have White, Pritchard, and Simons, and you're going to have to really scrap to rebound with those groups. They're going to be playing Sam Hauser or Jaylen Brown at 4. You're going to have to really scrap to rebound with those groups. They're going to be playing Chris Boucher at center sometimes. He's a slender 6'9" guy. There's not a lot of heft on him. You're going to have to run around and bring energy and never stop with the energy to get defensive rebounds. The Celtics, through 3 preseason games, again, they've played nobody in the preseason. Teams have been sitting guys against them, and they rank, I believe it's 26th in defensive rebound rate. There are some international teams in that have played NBA teams in the preseason, so it's not 26 out of 30. It's still a very bad defensive rebounding rate. They've grabbed like 64% of defensive rebounds so far, which is really atrocious. And you can see it lined up as a potential enormous issue for the Celtics. It's not one that can't be overcome. Like, we've seen the Thunder be great a couple years ago without the ability to defensive rebound. We've seen teams do it, but they've always been a good defensive rebounding team the last, I don't know how many years. And this year could be different because they're sending more help. They're playing smaller. They just don't have as much rebounding talent. There are a lot of reasons why defensive rebounding would be an issue, but it has a chance to be an enormous one. But why I think it's such a big story beyond just the category itself is like Joe Mazzulla wants to turn this team into psychos. That's my takeaway. Joe Mazzulla wants to turn this team into the scrappiest, craziest, most intense group, and he thinks that's their path to winning. We've heard it from day one of preseason, of training camp rather, that they want to be fast as hell. They want to compete like hell. They want to be tough to play against. They want to be the tougher team. They want to be the faster team. They want to have a higher pace. They want to get after it. And that's by necessity. They lost a lot of talent. They don't have the margin for error that they did last season. They don't have the margin for error they had the year before that, or probably the year before that. And this is the least talented team Mazzulla's had. They're going to need to rely on their athleticism, rely on their youth, and turn those things into positives. They're not going to be the most refined team. They're not going to be the smartest team. They're not going to be the strongest team. They're not going to be the biggest team. They could need to be the scrappiest team. And Mazzulla is using every opportunity to ramp up the intensity, and that means that he spent an entire preseason game yanking guys out when they gave up offensive rebounds. I don't think he took out everybody who gave up an offensive rebound, but the Celtics gave up 21 offensive rebounds, and after many of them, Mazzulla subbed out the guy. It started, like I said, less than 4 minutes in. It was still going on with 4 minutes left in the game when Jalen Bridges, who's right now not on the actual Celtics roster, gave up an offensive rebound. The Celtics were up 32 points at the time, and Mazzulla looked at the bench. I watched him do it while it was in the game, and he called for us up. Jalen Bridges came out at the next whistle. Jalen Bridges. You probably know, the listeners of this podcast probably know who Jalen Bridges is. There's a good chance that casual fans don't, or even like pretty big fans don't. And still, Joe Mazzulla was holding those guys to that standard with 4 minutes left in a 30-point blowout because he wants them to rebound, yes, but I would guess beyond that, he wants them to be the toughest fucking team that ever lived. And he can coach this team that way because it's younger guys, it's unproven guys. There are a lot of guys fighting for minutes. Like I said, the front court seems like it's wide open. It does not seem like anyone has created separation. A bunch of their bigs have had good minutes throughout the preseason. Boucher has been very good, especially over the first two preseason games. Luka Garza has been very productive. Tillman, his defense has stood out. He's moving like he definitely did not last season. Nimi has had some struggles against Toronto, but like I saw him at least entering training camp as probably the starter, and I think he still has a chance to be that. But spots super open there. Then you got the wing. Jaylen Brown and Hauser will play, but behind them, Josh Minot, Baylor Shireman, Jordan Walsh, though he was out tonight, Ugo, they're all getting significant minutes. They're all in competition. And I think Minot has stood out among that group. Minot has been very good. Minot was very good again tonight. He has been an impact defender. He has gotten to the rim. Tonight, he hit a couple of threes. I believe he was 2 for 5 from behind the arc. And good things have just happened with Josh Minot on the court. I think he has separated himself. But I also think the way the Celtics are aiming to play, they might just play all these guys. And they might just, throw 12 guys into the rotation and shuffle them in and out and play hard and play fast and try to just crash like a wave over the opponent. And Joe can coach them because they're unproven. He can turn them into maniacs. And it seems like that's what he's trying to do. And I think he's doing it because they need to. I think he's doing it because they can. And quite frankly, I think the way that he's approached this preseason, the way that he's approached training camp has ratcheted up the energy. They've been really sharp. I know they lost to Toronto and blew a 20-something point lead. Most of it was with bench guys on the court. Most of it was with no point guard on the court. Most of it was while guys who will never play for the Celtics were throwing turnover after turnover after turnover. That didn't matter. When the Celtics' real guys have played, and they've played nobody, but they've been sharp. They've been energetic. They've played defense. They've got out and ran. They have played a good brand of basketball. Their guards look like they can play together. Anthony Simons has scored 39 points over his first 2 preseason games in somewhat limited minutes because it's preseason. He looks like he's going to fit really well offensively. But for this team to succeed, they're going to have to be super scrappy. And they're going to have to take no plays off. And they're going to have to be tough to play against in ways that's not just overwhelming you with talent like the Celtics could do in the past. And I think that's why Joe has acted like this. I think that's why he was yanking people in and out. He's trying to develop a mentality in this team that, number one, your minutes could be taken. Number two, you better go earn your minutes. And number three, this is how it's going to be because that's how they need to be. And he yelled at everybody. Jaylen Brown, with 14 seconds left in the first half, gave up an offensive rebound. I think it was to Larry Nance Jr. And on the sideline, it was very clear what Joe Mazzulla said. Fuck. And he was pissed. And then 14 seconds later, halftime, he went right up to Jaylen, seemed to approach him about that moment, was pointing exactly where Jaylen got beat for the rebound. 3 minutes in the second half, Jaylen gave up another offensive rebound. Wouldn't you know it? He got pulled out too. Nobody's above it. The Finals MVP from 2 years ago got yanked in a preseason game because he didn't grab a defensive rebound. That's the tone Joe Mazzulla is trying to set. It's the mentality he wants to instill in his team, that they can't have lapses, that they have to hustle at all times, that they have to be more physical, tougher, scrappier than whoever they play against. And you can see, from the start of training camp, that's been the tone. And it started to come out. They're going to play fast. Yeah. Then, Jaylen said, yeah, we lost a lot, and we have to make up for that with speed and mentality. And the mentality part is what Joe is trying to build in these guys. There's a lot of new faces, a lot of new guys on this team, a lot of new spots that are open in the rotation. And it seems like Joe wants to turn his team into a group of maniacs in a good way, super competitive, super passionate, super willing to do whatever it takes for the team. And he's been on these guys. He's been on them hard, and he's coaching them hard. You don't see in the NBA very often guys just getting yanked because they gave up one offensive rebound. You do not see that very often. And it's a preseason game, so not a regular season game. If Joe does it in a regular season game, it would be a little bit more surprising. But he is out here And I talked to Luka Garza about it. He said he loved it. He said he loved it because he thinks it's a mindset thing. And he said to me, and I'm paraphrasing this, it's not going to be a exact quote, but you can go read it on The Athletic in the morning. But he said basically like, I know that minutes could rely on grabbing a defensive rebound. And he said, I've played in the NBA for 4 years and I've barely played at all during those 4 years. And basically he said, I'm desperate for minutes and I'll do whatever it takes. And I would know that the one of the priorities is defensive rebounding. I'm gonna do that. And he loves that he's being held to a high standard. He loves that the entire team is being held to a high standard. He's in line to be a maniac. So right now, I think it's working. Celtics, they've come out with an edge. The whole preseason, they've had an edge. Training camp, they've had an edge. Everybody said how hard they worked, how competitive it was. And through 3 games, they've been an extremely hard playing team. They have gotten up and down. They've, played defense. They've they've created havoc. They've excelled in transition. They are becoming the vision that Mazzulla mapped out for them. And I just thought it was really telling. In a 30-point preseason win, he was yanking guys 4 minutes left. That is not something you see all the time, but he is going to drive this team hard. He is going to hold them really accountable. And if one guy doesn't do it, then the next guy up will have to. That's just how this team is going to have to succeed. That's what he's decided. And I think he's probably right. He had another moment in the press conference where I don't know what happened. I don't know why he was so I won't say frustrated because he said he's not frustrated. He's fulfilled. But I don't know why he was combative in the press conference. He was asked a question about the process of creating threes now that they're playing faster and just shitted on the question. Like, really shitted on the question. Said he'd answered it for 3 straight years about their playing style, yada, yada, yada. I don't know why he chose to be combative in the press conference. Don't know why he chose to do it after a 31-point win. It's just Joe, I guess, keeping you on your toes. But I think there's a method to his madness with the way he coached tonight and the willingness to sit guys for not grabbing defensive rebounds. He knows that's a potential problem area, but more than that, he knows that this team needs to have an identity of being the hardest playing motherfuckers out there. And that's what he's trying to create. That's why they had such a hard training camp. That's why he's like tonight they had almost everybody. It felt like sort of a dress rehearsal for their rotation. He was throwing guys in and out there, went 12 or 13 deep. Ugo played, Baylor Shireman played. They played all 4 bigs. I think he might play 12 or 13 guys. I don't think that's out of the question. I think it's very possible that he plays 12 or 13 guys. Would it be unusual? Yeah. But the Thunder and Pacers, maybe they didn't go that deep. They regularly went very deep. And I don't think it's a coincidence that they were the 2 hardest playing teams in the league at playoff time. So we'll see. We'll see how everything goes with the Celtics. But tonight it was about far more than just the single player performances. And Anthony Simons shot the ball great. That dude can really stroke it. He can really shoot. And I think it's possible that with extra catch and shoot opportunities, extra open opportunities. We saw, Jalen drove, drew 2, kicked it out to Simon, splash. Now that he's no longer the focal point for defenses, it might free him up to have the most efficient shooting season of his career. I think that's possible. But he can also go and hit you with a sidestep, step back, and splash it, which he did a couple of times too. So just a tough shot maker, great shooter, and does it off catch and shoot, does it off the bounce. You can see how he's going to fit offensively. He got yanked too for at least one missed defensive rebound. I think it might have happened twice, but you could see Joe, as soon as Simons gave up a defensive rebound, got him out of there, and that was how it went. It was another productive night for Luka Garza. He's drawn a ton of free throws during this preseason run. Just a ton of free throws. Lots of free throws. I think he's drawn 20 in 49 minutes, like something absurd. So salute to him. Wendell Moore Jr., dunk of the preseason. It was a really incredible dunk. Chest to chest, cocked it back, everything. That was in garbage time, obviously. He's one of the guys at the end of their training camp roster. But Josh Minot was fantastic again. 16 points, 5 for 9 shooting, 2 for 5 from deep, 6 rebounds, only 1 steal, no blocks. What's going on, Josh? But the 1 steal he got, he then turned it into a windmill dunk at the other end. He's brought a lot of energy. He's brought a lot of defense. He's brought a lot of transition success to the Celtics so far. He has been very good through preseason. I thought Ugo had moments again. Ugo, for the second straight game, drew an offensive foul while staying attached and trying to get around a screen. Like, that's going to win him points from the coaching staff. That's the type of stuff that coaches love. The hustle to draw an offensive foul just because you're playing so hard going around a screen. Jalen had some weird turnovers, but other than that, I thought it was fine. He had 6 assists, only played 22 minutes. He was a plus 23, not too shabby. Only took 6 shots, which was interesting, but the Celtics really got a lot of good looks, especially early. They were getting all types of threes early on. Just Peyton Pritchard, again, was really, really good. I think he could have a big, big year. But again, it wasn't really about the individual performances tonight. This was about Joe setting the tone again, that he's not going to let this team slide, that he's going to push them and pull whatever he can out of them. The defensive rebound, like, who does that in an NBA game? It was like it was a fourth grade CYO team just yanking guys out left and right. And guys are on, they're at attention. He was putting them right back into the game, though. He didn't sit him out for long, but I think that's the mentality that he's trying to create. Like, yes, you need to get that rebound. If you come out, though, be ready to go right back in and be ready to go after the next rebound. So I kind of appreciate the way that he's going about coaching this team. I think that, after losing Jason, after losing so much of their identity, you kind of had to rebuild that. And you had to teach the culture all over again. You had to bring guys in. You had to coach guys up. And right now, he's turning these guys. He's doing what he can to lead this team to being an extremely tough team. And I think that matters to the guys that are returning, because they know how much they lost. They know they lost great defenders, great teammates, great people, great players. And you don't want this to be a lost season. And if Joe Mazzulla is out there coaching his ass off, demanding everybody to play at a higher and higher and higher level, then that matters. And it seems right now that anything can happen. The regular season hasn't happened yet, hasn't started yet. But they're taking a very competitive, ruthless approach to this so far. This is not a team that seems ready to lay down and just say, you know what, Jason's out. Fuck it. No. No. Nope. So we'll see. Should be fun to see how this team develops. Should be fun to see how everything materializes. Right now, we just know that Joe is going to hold these guys to a high standard, and he's going to yank them out sometimes when they don't grab a defensive rebound, and they're going to play hard, or else he'll find someone else who will. Thank you guys for listening. We love you all, the kids, the gods, the legends. To anybody who doesn't subscribe, go to patreon.com/stillpotable. Go subscribe right now. We are a Monday through Friday podcast. We'll be here all the time talking to you. Take care.